I'm a 34-year-old guy, former Navy, the quiet type people usually overlook. I work, come home, keep my life simple, nothing flashy. Most people who know me casually would say I'm calm and level-headed, and they'd be right. But what they don't see is the part of me that spent years getting treated like a stain on the family name, and the part that finally snapped when the people closest to me pushed too far. This whole story starts with something that sounds small. My younger brother's graduation from a military academy. In my family, he's the golden child. The one my parents brag about nonstop. The one they love telling neighbors about. And that's fine. He worked hard. He deserved his moment. But what I didn't deserve was the little shadow they kept throwing my way. According to them, I deserted the Navy. That word, deserted, got tossed around like it was nothing. My actual discharge? Medical, full honors. I injured my spine during a training accident. Not a scandal, not a cover-up, just life throwing a punch. But my family had already created their own dramatic story, where I walked away because I couldn't handle the pressure. They repeated it so much they believed it. They even repeated it to other people. And the truth didn't matter anymore. Still, I went to my brother's graduation ceremony because he asked me to. I figured I'd show up, clap politely, and leave early. So, picture the scene. A big auditorium, cadets standing tall, families crying, the whole patriotic music in the background. I'm leaning against the wall, wearing a plain suit because I didn't want attention. My father pretended I wasn't there. My mother gave me a polite smile, but stayed next to him. My brother waved at me briefly from the stage, then got swept up in the ceremony. Pretty normal. Until it wasn't. The general stepped on stage to give his speech. I recognized him instantly. He served under the same command during one of my deployments. Older now, but still sharp. He scanned the crowd, and suddenly, he stopped. Right on me. At first, he squinted, like he was trying to place a memory. Then his eyes widened, and he smiled in this way that made me realize he absolutely remembered who I was. He stepped away from the podium, not something generals usually do, and walked straight toward me. The room got quiet. And then he said, loud enough for the cadets and half the parents to hear, "Colonel, well, I'll be damned. Didn't expect to see you here." The whole hall shifted. Heads turned, people went silent. My father's jaw literally dropped. My mother looked confused. My brother looked like his brain crashed and needed a reboot. And me? I just stood there, stunned. Now, for context, I wasn't a full, permanent colonel. I held a brevet rank during a joint operation overseas because we were short on officers. Temporary, but official. Legit enough that someone like him would remember it. He shook my hand firmly and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, this man saved dozens of our people overseas. Good to see you, son." The room applauded. Even some of the young cadets respected the moment. But my father? He just stared like he was watching his own narrative fall apart in real time. After the ceremony ended, he came storming towards me. "Why didn't you tell us about all this?" he snapped. I said, "You never asked. You decided what you wanted to believe." My mother, trying to smooth things over, said, "Your father just wanted clarity. You were always vague about your discharge." I wasn't vague. You didn't want to hear the truth. Then my brother walked up and said, "You could have made yourself look better. You didn't have to let everyone assume things." I didn't even argue. I left the conversation right there because nothing I said had ever mattered before. But I didn't know the real punch was coming that night. Around 11 p.m., my phone blew up with notifications, messages, screenshots, DMs. My father had gone online and made a huge post about how the general had mistaken me for someone else. He wrote that I lied about my rank, misled the general, and faked my accomplishments. He doubled down on the old family lie that I deserted my duty. He basically accused me of stolen valor and fraud, publicly, with my full name attached. My brother reshared it with, "Makes sense now." That moment right there, that was when the switch flipped inside me. I didn't yell. I didn't write a long comment. I didn't argue with strangers online. I contacted my former commander, then the general's office, then the VA legal division. I told them everything, provided screenshots, and asked what steps were legally appropriate. They explained exactly what documentation I needed. So I gathered every piece of evidence: my discharge papers, my medical records, my brevet rank confirmation, and written statements from both the general and my commander. In less than a week, I had a solid legal case for defamation. Under U.S. law, publicly accusing a veteran of faking service or rank is serious, especially when you post it publicly and it spreads. Once everything was in place, I drove to my parents' house. My father was sitting outside like nothing had happened. My mother hovered behind him. My brother stood near the doorway pretending he wasn't listening. I handed my father an envelope. "You have 72 hours to remove everything, post a public correction, and sign an acknowledgement that your statements were false." My father smirked. "You're bluffing." "No," I said. "I already filed the intent notice. This is your chance to avoid court." My mother tried to step in, asking everyone to calm down. My brother accused me of overreacting. My father stood up, got close to my face, and said, "You're embarrassing yourself. Get out of my house." So, I did. And 72 hours later, when nothing came down, I filed the lawsuit. The case moved quickly because everything was documented. The VA confirmed my record. The Navy confirmed my rank. The general provided a deposition. My commander backed it all up. Meanwhile, my father and brother scrambled. They tried to argue it was just family disagreements. They said they didn't know it would spread. None of that mattered. The statements were public. Harm was proven. Eventually, they agreed to settle. They had to delete everything, post a public apology, post a correction stating their accusations were false, pay all my legal fees, and compensate me for damages because their lies harmed my reputation as a veteran. My father lost a big chunk of his savings. My brother took out a loan. My mother cried not because of the money, but because she realized what they'd done. I didn't feel triumphant, just balanced, like things were finally aligned. Months later, I was invited to a veterans ceremony. The general reached out personally. It meant more to me than my family ever realized. I sat in that hall listening to speeches, remembering the people I served with, and for the first time in years, I felt proud again. No drama, no lies, just truth. My family barely speaks to me now. My mother reaches out occasionally, but my responses are short. My father hasn't tried once. My brother avoids me completely. And honestly, life feels lighter. Sometimes protecting your dignity means walking away from people who refuse to see you clearly. Sometimes the truth costs relationships, but it gives you peace. And that's worth more than anything I lost. If you stuck around for this whole roller coaster, go ahead and subscribe. The general didn't order you to, but